Which was against the Patriots, so I'm sure some Boston College fans will remember that. Let's take a break. We've seen 14 points on the board here with the ones, including a trick play there by Christian Mahogany on the Wildcat. Get those big fellas some opportunities to score 6. Christian Mahogany. Skipped up on Tennessee to hit somebody's foot. Why wasn't whistled dead?
And Eastern time. And of course, as we lead into the NFL draft, Mailman, so much of your focus is right on that. So now, how about somebody that's a little under the radar and somebody else you just have a tough time evaluating? Who's
under the radar to me? We have the UNI, Northern Iowa. I think Trevor Penning, the great offensive tackle, Isaiah Weston, wide receiver for UNI. Technical.
They're dancing like you.
You know, being a father was important to him.
Nice stretch, nice speed from these turns. 14 aerials.
So, wow. We were all geared up for a spring football day here at the Voice of College Football, and we will still, of course, enjoy the spring games and report on as many as we can possibly get to. We've got a full cart of action for you here at the Voice of College Football and discussion and analysis on the various channels as we will cover spring football to their fullest for this afternoon here at the Voice of College Football. But wow, that's football. That's all it is, football. And we were reminded once again, and most of us are reminded every few days in some manner about the precious commodity of life. And blindsided today, the college football world, the NFL world, and anyone who cares about, again, just life. And what's shocking about this, of course, is the age of 24. DWAYNE Haskins, former Ohio State quarterback, most notably in the 2018 season, NFL draft selection, Washington Redskins, now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we learned just minutes ago about DWAYNE Haskins' death due to a car accident at the age of 24. He lived on this earth for 24 years. That's it. When you think about the scope of eternity and whatever you believe about that, 80 years, 85 years, 90 years, that's a short period of time. of what the typical life expectancy of an American is. Lived to be 24 years old. Had amazing skills and abilities and displayed those at Ohio State. And of course, despite some issues in the NFL, still had a bright future ahead of him. And it was all snatched away. I'm going to go to one of the articles just to see if there's anything here that I'm not aware of and that we're all not aware of. And I will certainly get to the live chat. We're going to talk football all day, but of course, this is much more important, and wanted to pay due respect to DWAYNE Haskins. Had it been the death of anyone connected to college football, we would be honoring that individual now. DWAYNE Haskins, if we're looking at the football standpoint for a moment, was one of the top 10 or 15 quarterbacks of the past decade, something in that range, if it was only for one season. So I do appreciate everybody being here to discuss college football eventually, and we will, and we'll watch it. I had the Boston College spring game on and still do when I saw the news on the bottom line. And we're gearing up for the Purdue spring game at noon Eastern. Later in the day, Nebraska, Texas A&M, Auburn, and others, Florida State, Clemson. And we will do our best to bring you as much as possible. So let's see if we can get some details here. Doesn't appear to be much. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback DWAYNE Haskins died this weekend. This first reported at 11 a.m. Eastern time, so only about 45 minutes ago. When he was struck by a vehicle, his agent, Cedric Saunders, told ESPN's Adam Schefter, 24 years old. Haskins was training in South Florida with other Steelers quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. He was killed Saturday morning when he got struck by a vehicle. After a standout junior season at Ohio State, Haskins was selected 15th overall by the Washington Commanders in the 2019 draft. Haskins spent 2 turbulent seasons with Washington before signing in Pittsburgh before last season. Many of you are aware, as Ohio State fans or just general football fans, about Haskins' issues since he has been an NFL player, but those at this point, not important. Whether any of that and his behavior contributed to his death, we don't know at this point. And the end result is that doesn't matter either. It's tough to take. It's tough to take, regardless of who you root for. It's tough to take. 24 years old. That's what just blows me away. 24. And there are 24-year-olds and younger that are dying every day somewhere in the world. So it is about DWAYNE Haskins, of course, but it just highlights what we have to deal with in our daily world each and every day. Somebody, some loved one, some family, some group of friends. This is just shared by more people because of the celebrity status of DWAYNE Haskins, but it's just horrible news. I will be going through your comments. Appreciate everybody being here. Again, we've got a nice crowd of 164, 174 from the Ohio State community, I'm sure. And again, we're going to talk spring football. And currently, the Boston College game is on the ACC network. We're going to switch to Purdue at noon. At 1 p.m. Eastern time, we'll have a different link for you because we're starting up on the Clemson channel, but we'll be here the entire time. So if you're watching us on the main channel, we'll be here the entire time at the Voice of College Football. So at 1 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to start up the Clemson watch party. We're doing Nebraska post after the Nebraska game. That should be about 4 p.m. Eastern time on the Nebraska channel. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be here to watch the Florida State game with all of you as well. So again, we will go through the schedule as the afternoon proceeds. Exploring with Ben, always good to see you. The Buckeye guy. Can't believe what happened to DWAYNE Haskins this morning. Still in shock. NBA fan, rest in peace. Dewey's got a Yankee advisory for today's Nebraska spring game, the red and white. We expect that to be one of the more enthusiastic settings of the spring season. Say what you will about Nebraska. Say what you will about the current team. Didn't show us much last year at 3-9. There's hope for this season, but the fan base brings it. Just me, Tim79. Tragedy, certainly 28-80-28. Good to see you here. Sad news. Very sorry to hear this. The Buckeye guy can't believe the news about DWAYNE Haskins, one of the true greats at quarterback for the Buckeyes. NCIS Fanatic 21, good to see you here. One of our originals. Too young. Yes, Daniel, too young. Sue, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. I am gutted this morning. One of the best to ever do it at Ohio State. So we're a football show, and we'll focus on the football at some point. And you know, every time something like this happens, we emphasize, and most of you back it up, that the human life is so much more important than the football. But we're here because of the football, of course, and that's our connection to DWAYNE Haskins. And yes, Sue, 50 touchdown passes. This is a guy who first stepped into the spotlight in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the Big House when JT Barrett went down in the game in 2017, stepped in and delivered down by a score, early fourth quarter, if I recall, might be late third quarter. And more than anything, it was that pass to Austin Mack on 3rd and 13. 3rd and 13, cut it loose, and just threw a BB to Austin Mack to convert the first down and set up Ohio State and really invigorate that team to overcome a deficit and beat Michigan and win the Big Ten championship in 2018, go on to win the Big Ten championship game and the Rose Bowl. There aren't a whole lot of guys walking around this planet who can say that they have notched a top 3 ranking in college football, a Big Ten championship, and a Rose Bowl championship, and threw 50 touchdowns in a season. That might be a trifecta of sorts that probably is not matched. I don't know that anyone who's thrown more than 50 touchdowns in the Big Ten. Does he have the all-time Big Ten scoring record, touchdown record? I think he does, doesn't he? I can't think of anyone who's thrown 50 touchdowns in the Big Ten off the top of my head. There he is. By 6 over C.J. Stroud. All-time touchdown leaders in Big Ten history for a single season passing. DWAYNE Haskins, 50. C.J. Stroud, 44. Justin Fields, 41. Drew Brees, 39. J.T. Barrett, 35 and 34. Russell Wilson, 33. All-time touchdown leader, single season in the Big Ten, 50. I thought that was the case. Of course, that's not important, but we're going to cover the football as well as the story, which is right now just simply that he was hit by a vehicle. He's in South Florida right now, was in South Florida training with other Pittsburgh Steelers skill players. Marcus, rest in peace. We looked at one article, it's just me, Tim, and 79 in regards to who may be at fault in the accident, and there's just doesn't seem to be any reports out yet. This was first reported, I don't know when it happened, was first reported just 50 minutes ago. Not that it matters, but I am going to flip on over to the Purdue spring game. And certainly feel free to make your comments about football as well. We are going to cover football this afternoon as well. Boston College is on the field right now. Purdue is set to hit the field in West Lafayette for their spring game at noon Eastern time. Later in the day, Auburn, Texas A&M, NC State, Kentucky, Pitt, Nebraska, Florida State, Clemson. We're going to reset at 1 o'clock Eastern time with our Clemson folks and take in the Clemson game. Thank you, everyone who is chiming in. Kenneth, Island Boy. Exploring with Ben, hit by another car. The way it reads online is that he was, I don't want to speculate. I won't. 24 years old. The Rod Farvis here. Good to see you. Everybody, if I don't say your name, of course, you know that I appreciate you being here. Coach Beam, shame on Adam Schefter for such a callous post, completely classless. Adam Schefter posted. Adam Schefter, if I can find him. I don't follow Adam Schefter. No, there's a lot of fake Adam Schefter accounts. That must be him. Where's the one with the, I don't see any with verification. Is that him? Yeah, I can't come up with the Adam Schefter post. Being struck by a car, which tells us that he was on foot struck by a car. That's what that tells me. That's what that tells me. I am curious about the Adam Schefter post. Here it is. Here's one, at least. This probably is not the initial one. And this is not about Adam Schefter, that's for sure. But his initial post about DWAYNE Haskins. DWAYNE Haskins was training in South Florida with other Steelers quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. He was killed this morning in South Florida when he got hit by a vehicle. Tragic. And then his ensuing posts just gave more information. DWAYNE Haskins would have been 25 next month, May 3rd. Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, who is DWAYNE Haskins, was his new coach after leaving the Redskins, coming to the Steelers. Mike Tomlin says, "I'm devastated and at a loss for words with the unfortunate passing of DWAYNE Haskins. He quickly became part of our Steelers family upon his arrival in Pittsburgh and was one of our hardest workers, both on the field and in our community. DWAYNE was a great teammate, but even more so a tremendous friend to so many. I am truly heartbroken. Thoughts and prayers with his wife and his entire family during this difficult time." So again, this, hits us hard as football fans and people that respect life. but there's a wife involved, there's a family involved, there are obviously teammates and friends involved. Robert, thank you for the post. Appreciate that. Sad Buckeyes here. Yes, we will enjoy the spring football regardless of the news. Purdue's on the field with a 4th and 17, the offense against the defense right now. Really, my only take from BC's hour on the field that I saw was Phil Jurkovec, of course, is coming back from a wrist injury that really limited him, knocked him out on the second week of the season. He came back late in the season and really didn't have the wrist strength recovered so he could really throw the ball. We hope to all see a healthy Phil Jurkovec this year for Boston College, throwing to the likes of Jalen Gill and Zay Jones. Lorenzo says, DWAYNE is the reason for the Buckeyes' new level of QB1 coming to Buckeyes without Day having him to work with Fields. Never would have transferred here, and Fields showed Stroud the blueprint. It's a good point. Hummus Hero, good to see you. Rufus Michael as well. Matt Ryan. Yes, sad day. And again, we are here to watch football and talk football, and we will. Wife and kids. It's just me, Tim says. And kids. I lost my father at the age of 36. The age of 36. I have friends that are much older that still have their fathers. We lose our parents at different stages of life, but to lose a parent at the age of, kids have to be less than 5 years old. That's tough. Dave, sorry for your loss, Buckeyes. Funny how someone you don't know can mean so much, and we are reminded when we lose them. And thank you so much, everybody, for the comments. David Knight's here. Thank you so much for that. Jason Valentin, it sounds like he was a pedestrian. It does to me. Kenyatta, thank you so much for offering your prayers. Prayers are needed. Exploring with Ben. Yes, training with the other quarterbacks, which would include Mitch Trubisky and running backs and wide receivers. My man Brent, Elvis Nation, great to see you. On a side note, of course, you know that, my goodness, you do outstanding work every day, Brent. So thanks for that enjoyment that you add to my life and many others. So keep it coming. A small, minuscule silver lining, at least for me, in seeing all this is just the amount of great sensitivity and sympathy that everyone has for life, regardless of who it is. Cliff Cook, Michigan fan. And this is when all that goes away, doesn't it? It goes away. It just kind of goes away. Michigan fan, sympathizing with Ohio State fans. You know, makes you wonder as well, we could see into the future and know who we would lose in the next week, in the next month, 6 months, year, both personally and of a celebrity status. Antoine Johnson, good to see you here. I've seen you here frequently recently. Appreciate you being here. Marcus as well. Yeah, and from a football standpoint, currently, of course, I took a look back into the DWAYNE Haskins lore of 2017 going into 18 and a great Buckeye run. But as a quarterback in the NFL, he was looking like he at least had the opportunities to get past his issues off the field, have a new start, reset with the Steelers, and truly compete for a starting position with the Steelers, as is noted by Cyber Cobble there. Yeah, just appreciate everybody's sentiments here. And again, from a football standpoint, Millie legit says, really wanted to see him showcase himself with the Steelers. He just got married. So I see here from the Mike Tomlin statement, yes, he's married. I didn't know when that occurred. And we spoke about his kids and the impact on what have to be small children, of course, is just, I don't even know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that. My kids are 25 and 22 right now. And again, I lost my father at the age of 36, and that was devastating. But that cannot be compared in any way to losing a parent at the age of, 2, 3, 4. You know, I often think that if something happened to me, my kids are 25 and 22, and they have just been amazing to come to a place at a pretty early age of being self-sustaining, self-sufficient. So I sometimes think, if something happened to me, they'd be fine now, not 10 years ago necessarily, but they'd be fine now. But I know from experiencing that at the age of, again, 36, losing my father, it's wow. And a few people in here asking about details. And again, unless you guys come up with something, not seeing any details. Again, it was first reported just over an hour ago. So we don't know when that transpired. DeAndre, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. We always appreciate you being here and supporting the channel. BGPO Football Funk. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Check it out. Life is short. Rest in peace, young man. And DeAndre, just to let you know, we are going to reset at 1 o'clock Eastern time with a new link, everyone. This may knock down our audience of 426. So I appreciate everybody being here. It's very nice of everyone being here. And this is probably a pro-Ohio State crowd, I would think, because of the circumstances. But we are going to be here tracking spring football all day. I made a commitment to all of you a couple of weeks ago that during the month of April, spring football Saturdays are going to be paramount here at the Voice of College Football. And we were here for a Michigan watch party last Saturday. We are going to be here all day in our various forms covering spring football with the Purdue defense leading the offense 5-0. I don't know how that happened. Mo says a moment of silence for Haskins next Saturday at the spring game. Always in the hearts of Buckeye Nation. Doug, thank you for that comment. We seem to forget that athletes are humans. Some articles state how he wasn't a great NFL quarterback. Rest in peace. Yeah, that can be talked about years from now, months from now. Anything concerning his NFL career should just be a stat sheet that can be referenced at any time by anyone. Right now, it's a young man of age 24, married, young children, passes away. We're aware of it because of his status as an NFL player and former high-profile college quarterback. Again, it reminds us, too, that there are young people out there dying from various causes every day, and most of them needlessly. And when I say needlessly, of course, all of them needlessly, but there are sicknesses and illnesses and diseases and, unfortunately, accidents, but there are also just a rising number of young people impacted by poor decisions, by drug decisions. Fentanyl is becoming a huge issue in this country. I know I'm not saying it's in any way related to this, but just comes to mind in regards to a young person passing away. Sad Buckeye has what apparently are some details there. Okay, we've got various interpretations of what happened, so I'm not going to read those because they're not verified. They're not confirmed. Mike T, good to see you. We were running down DWAYNE Haskins highlights. Michigan 2017, we detailed that if you weren't here a few minutes ago, going through the 2018 season. Howard highlights the Maryland game. What a great performance by DWAYNE Haskins and J.K. Dobbins as the Ohio State defense gave up, 51. And the Buckeyes almost lost the penultimate game prior to the game in 2018 at Maryland, but survived 52-51, and DWAYNE Haskins lit it up. I'm finally catching up to some of these comments when I was looking up and verifying. I believed it to be so that DWAYNE Haskins has the all-time touchdown record in the Big Ten, passing 50, and we, of course, verified that. Mikey G, heart goes out to OSU fans and DWAYNE's family. Pardon me for 5 seconds. As John states here, any young death is tragic. Hearing he had recently proposed and looking forward in his life makes it hit harder. Yeah. You know, that individual has their life cut short, but then it impacts lives around them. And every life is precious at any age. But again, it's the age of the individual at 24. Then it's the knowledge that there's a spouse involved and children involved. It wouldn't be any less tragic if he was single with no children, but you just know that those individuals are then devastated. That's what hurts. Antoine is saying, another report here, I'm not going to go with it. No disrespect to anyone who is getting information possibly online. I just don't want to convey anything that may not be accurate. Okay. We don't need any moronic comments about citing comments that are racial of sorts about the NFL or any other organization that is your opinion, but it's damaging. Jacob was there at the Ohio State-Michigan game of 2018. And a great performance from DWAYNE Haskins. Okay, so I was trying to find the Schefter tweet, and you guys are letting me know that it was deleted. I'm still trying to catch up. I'm about 17 minutes behind on the chat. I don't want to miss any comments, but I'll start working through these quicker. Michael, it's good to see you. I know that you're watching the Purdue spring game. Hope that you get to see what you want. 8-0 defense. I am recording everything today. Unfortunately, the SEC games of Kentucky, Auburn, and Texas A&M are on SEC Plus. We should be able to pick that up online, but I'm going to be here live with you all day. Yeah, so it appears a number of you were chiming in with the story about being on the side of the road, changing a tire. Exploring with Ben, thank you for reminding everyone to stay classy and respectful. Michael's at the Purdue game. That's the best thing I've heard since we've been on. Michael's at the Purdue game. That is good to know. In about 25 minutes, we'll be sending out a second link. It's for the Clemson audience, and we're going to be watching the Clemson game, spring game at 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, we will slowly transition into football, of course. Fred Thompson, what next 2 to 3 teams will the SEC have to acquire for you to objectively consider them a college football superpower? What 2 to 3 teams will the Big Ten need for you to consider them a threat to the SEC? Okay. To answer the first part of that question, a superpower. Well, I've not used that term about anyone. Is the SEC currently a superpower? If somebody used that term, I would not have an issue with that. If somebody said, the SEC is a superpower. Okay. It is the best conference in college football. I don't think it's debatable. Superpower, you can use that term. I've not used it. I don't have an issue with anyone using it. So the SEC does not have to acquire any more teams for me to consider them to be the best conference. I probably state that 10 times a day at some point. What 2 to 3 teams would the Big Ten need for me to consider them a threat to the SEC? Okay. All right. Well, as an individual who likes to size things up analytically and really measure it, I hate working off the top of my head for questions like this, but I will. So let's take the SEC as it currently stands, add Texas and Oklahoma because we know that they are the additions to make it 16. What would the Big Ten need to add to match the SEC? Well, the Big Ten's not as good as the SEC right now. So maybe currently a combination of like a Notre Dame and somebody else, North Carolina. Notre Dame and North Carolina, and then to match Texas and Oklahoma. How about USC and Oregon? How's that? USC and Oregon to match Texas and Oklahoma, Notre Dame and North Carolina to bring them up to the current SEC level. How's that? Hmm. Nice comment here by John. Damn. Rest in peace to Dwayne. We need to love and respect people while they are alive and treat people the way we want to be treated. Rest in peace, Dwayne, the best to ever do it. Michael, it does not matter much now. Not at all. But DWAYNE Haskins was going to be given, it appeared, a legitimate shot to win the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback job with Mitch Trubisky there as well. Of course, Trubisky has an experience factor working for him. Ferris, good to see you. James Howard as well. Everyone, good to see you. Sensibly Cynical, best Haskins memory. You guys can throw them out there. I'm going to go back to what I outlined, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Michigan game of 2017. The 3rd and 13 conversion to Austin Mack that really jump-started the offense and got Ohio State energized with their starting quarterback on the sideline injured, JT Barrett, down by a touchdown, rivalry game on the road in the big house, being outplayed at that point, and just turned the game around. And Haskins and the Buckeyes won to win the Big Ten championship or get to the Big Ten championship game. And it, of course, led to a Big Ten title and a 13-1 record, a top 3 finish, a Rose Bowl win. So that is the play for me that I remember most notably of DWAYNE Haskins. Had JT Barrett not gone down in that game, who knows what would have happened? There would have been had JT Barrett not been hurt against Michigan, had Joe Burrow not been injured in August camp the next year, put those two incidents together, and you've got just a one-on-one quarterback battle with no advantage going into the next spring practice between Joe Burrow and DWAYNE Haskins. Jacob, we appreciate your testimony. Thank you for stating that. Michael Wheatley, critical of ESPN. I can't deny anything that you just stated there. Thank you, David. Again, it's good to see you here. So Seahorn there is going all the way back. Yes, DWAYNE Haskins was recruited and signed by Urban Meyer out of Bulls High School in the Washington, D.C. area. Came close to going to the University of Maryland. Rod Farva chimes in with remembering DWAYNE for his fourth quarter comeback at Penn State. Buckeyes down 26-14. Threw a touchdown to KJ Hill. I remember the one down the right sideline. Then there was the other touchdown down the right sideline. Wait. I'm remembering the KJ Hill touchdown. I'm not remembering the other one. And anyway, the Buckeyes were down 26-14 with about 5 minutes left in the game at Penn State. Haskins threw 2 touchdowns, one to KJ Hill. I guess the other one was the Benjamin Victor catch and run. Benjamin Victor making the biggest play of his life in that game against Penn State. And then Trace McSorley stopped on a 4th down play. The Buckeyes pulled it out for a second consecutive year. Ohio State down double digits with about 5 minutes left to play against Penn State and beat the Nittany Lions in comeback fashion. The possibility or probability of that happening is minuscule. Yes, the Rod Farfa, the Ohio State spring game is next Saturday. We will be here for the entire game, scrimmage, practice. Born in 1997. Wow. My daughter was born in 1999. Kid Dots, I wish we could tell you that we got it just all wrong. We misheard it. We misread it. Irvin, thanks for chiming in. Yes, it is sad. My prayers are with his family. Rest in peace. Rachel, thank you for chiming in. Appreciate your condolences. Michael reporting from West Lafayette. So we will work in the football. And again, this is going to be a big football day here at the Voice of College Football. At 1 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to switch over to our Clemson channel, but we're going to stay here too. So we're going to be here at the main channel all day, but we're going to add the Clemson channel. So I've got to send out a new link, and it's already out there. So you can latch on to that at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to watch the Clemson game together. Michael, though, reporting that the defense is looking fantastic. I guess they're up 17-0. So I wonder if this is one of these odd scoring situations where they give the defense points for stops and turnovers, etc. Alan, thank you so much for reminding everyone, and it's least important today, but still we would appreciate if you would hit the thumbs up, like the video, even though we don't like being here under these conditions. Please help out the YouTube algorithms by liking the video. So thank you for that, Alan. We appreciate it. And also, please subscribe. Appreciate that. Exploring with Ben, whatever I was talking about at the time. Got a Canes fan here as well. So, Savage Cabbage, he makes a point here. I don't know about the hate directed toward DWAYNE Haskins in particular. I know that he made some mistakes in his career. There's no question about that once he became a professional. And I'm sure he took a beating on social media because of that. That's probably what he's referring to. So he says, Savage Cabbage, die. And now all of a sudden everyone cares about you. What makes this not sit right with me is all the hate he got in his career leading up to his death. Well, again, that's probably true. I'm not aware of that in particular, but I can imagine an NFL player who makes the mistakes that DWAYNE Haskins made that become public. People take their shots, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't. We shouldn't be judging and criticizing and doing all those things with people's personal problems. I saw a number of posts today concerning Will Smith. I won't go into that. Otis John Jr., thank you. Carl, as a Michigan fan, thank you. Alexander the Great 4K, this is the worst since Steve McNair. When was that? About 2006, 7, 8, in that range? Mike, we don't know if what you're stating is true about this particular situation, but we know that that happens all the time where people go way too fast when seeing somebody at the side of the road or in a construction situation. And if you really take into account the speed that you're driving versus what you're being asked to drive through a construction area, or if you see a motorist on the side of the road, you're going to be arriving at your destination seconds later. Seconds, 3 seconds, 7 seconds. Lucas Abner. Yes, we talked about the Michigan game of 17. The Maryland game of 18 had a big Rose Bowl against Washington, a game the Buckeyes led big, then held on for the win to finish 13-1. And again, DWAYNE Haskins threw 6 more touchdown passes in 2018 than any quarterback ever has in the history of Big Ten football. And that second place finish currently is held by C.J. Stroud just this past season. Lucas chiming in with an extension of the point that was made earlier. And it's a good point that there became a procession of quarterbacks that are now leading the offense and the passing attack at an elevated level that wasn't there prior to DWAYNE Haskins. It has become a different offense under Ryan Day, and DWAYNE Haskins was the first one to operate that offense and the passing game at this level. Mike says, I'm old enough to remember when Larry Bethea killed himself, played for the Cowboys defense, yes, in the early 80s, did not pan out. Tom Landry tried to help him off the field, but it wasn't enough. Yes, Larry Bethea, number 76. Michael, if we take calls later, we would love for you to call in and chime in on the Purdue game and what you saw. It looks like a beautiful day in West Lafayette. The sun's shining, and the defense is dominating the offense. And here's another 4th and 20. It's 25-0. Purdue is an interesting team in the Big Ten race this year, and we just released our Big Ten coaches rankings. Actually, we did a live show, and we're going to do the same with the SEC, I believe. Released our Big Ten coaches rankings on Thursday with all of you. That was a lively discussion. So I released last week ACC, Pac-12, and Big 12 videos. But then for the Big Ten, I decided, what the heck, let's open up the phone lines and talk to all of you about our Big Ten coaches rankings. And that was a stellar conversation and feedback from all of you. And I believe on Sunday, we will unveil our SEC coaches rankings with all of you live. I am going to go to the end of the chat because I'll never get there, and we'll work our way back. The real MVPs in the house. And again, want to remind everyone, since we've got a nice little crowd on the line, that in about 15 minutes at 1 p.m. Eastern time, the Clemson spring game starts. And we are going to still be here on the main channel at the Voice of College Football, but we're adding the Clemson channel. So we'll have a different link out there at 1 p.m. Eastern. Yes, Exploring with Ben. Whole lot of feedback about those rankings. I did. Goes with the territory. Mayhem Matthew, thank you for your condolences to DWAYNE Haskins and family, of course. Troy, gearing up for the Huskers. That's 2 Eastern, 1 Central. No, we are so trying to balance out everything as much as possible and trying to get to as many games as possible. I figured out, okay, our best approach here, since the SEC games are online and it would be tough to navigate those games at the same time, what we're doing is Clemson watch party at 1 Eastern. Then after the Nebraska game, which I will not have seen much of, but we've got Zach Reeder to help us out on that. We'll do a Nebraska post game at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern time, Florida State watch party. And then we'll do more Florida State post and Nebraska post later. Hummus Hero, sorry, this week I do not believe that the ESPN or FS1 have any of the spring games. You've got Boston College, NC State, Florida State, North Carolina on the ACC network. You've got all the SEC teams that are playing today. I believe that's Kentucky, Auburn, and Texas A&M on the SEC. Plus, the Big Ten's got Purdue and Nebraska, the Big Ten network. If you've got Purdue, the Big Ten network, you can get the Purdue game on right now. 28-0 defense at halftime, and Nebraska. Later in future weeks, ESPN is showing the USC spring game. Jazzy, is that Clemson game with live video or play-by-play? It is not. I will not be showing. I understand that many of you do not have the ACC network, but I would think that you could find the Clemson game somewhere online. CJ Preach, thank you so much for reminding and encouraging everyone to hit the like button. I mentioned that it looked nice at the Purdue spring game, but it's cold. Michael says it's cold, and now, yeah, I'm seeing actual fans out there with coats and gloves on. Here in beautiful Connecticut, I don't know what the temperature is. It was warm enough this morning for me to crack the windows. I had the windows open for a while. So it must have been fairly warm. Now we're honoring some former Purdue greats at halftime. Somebody had mentioned something about Miami in the live chat about DWAYNE Haskins being in Miami or close to Miami for these workouts. One of my best friends is moving to Miami in the next few weeks. John, Purdue has actual fans? Oh, they've got about 14 out there. They got Michael, and they got 13 of his best friends and family. That's a lot of guys that are getting their jerseys. I don't think they're retired. They're just getting them placed in some kind of a frame. But I don't know what they have to do to earn that, if that's just some kind of vote for some Purdue Hall of Fame or if they have to be an all Big Ten player. Tavius 305 says, don't move to Miami. Demaria Smith, wow. As a Michigan State fan, this is really heartbreaking news. I can't even begin to imagine what DWAYNE's family and loved ones, yes, a wife and small children, are feeling right now. So sad to learn Haskins has died at 24. We're just about 5 minutes away from switching over to our Clemson channel, but if you're watching right here, the Voice of College Football on the main channel, we will be right here. So keep it locked on the front page, but I've got to send out a different link. It's already out there. Mayhem Matthew, how do you get a wrench here? Well, Mayhem Matthew, how long have you been watching? Let me ask you that. And then I give you a wrench. That's how that happens. Oh, got it, Michael. Last year's senior. So Michael's keeping track of us here. Appreciate that. So last year's seniors. Okay. This Purdue defense this year is going to be phenomenal. I'll tell you that. They are taking it to the offense. They cannot be scored upon, the Purdue defense. One of the great injustices of last season's college football results is that Purdue finished 9-4. All their losses were respectable losses. Okay, Ohio State destroyed them, but they lost to one of the best teams in the country. All their other losses were understandable, respectable losses. And they beat Michigan State and Iowa. Anybody else good that they beat? They lost to Minnesota, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Notre Dame. They went 6-3 in the Big Ten. 9-4, Purdue. They won a bowl game over Tennessee. They did not finish in the top 25. They didn't finish in the AP top 25. They finished in our final top 25. Mayhem Matthews been watching since the middle of this past football season. If you would like to be a moderator, that would be tremendous. So send me and email Mayhem Matthew at MarkRogersTV@gmail and remind me to make you a moderator, and I will give you the rundown of what is expected. of moderators here. Troy says Nebraska was the greatest injustice, but Martinez is gone now. Casey Thompson, GBR. Well, I'm talking about injustice in regards to Purdue went 9-4 and they did not finish in the top 25. They went 9-4 in the Big Ten. They went 6-3 in the conference. They played respectable against everyone. Nobody blew them out against Ohio State side. Notre Dame game was close. Minnesota game was close. The Wisconsin game got a little out of hand in the second half. Dave is getting Purdue, Indiana, and Northwestern confused. Okay. The uniforms look a lot different, Dave. So you should be able to latch on to the uniform differences. Much different uniforms with Purdue, Indiana, and Northwestern. At least keep that separate. Yes, absolutely. That is your role there, Alexander the Great, is to keep the moderators, or for the moderators to keep the troublemakers in check. But we have certain parameters here. All right, it is 12:55 Eastern time. We are all going to watch the Clemson game together. Michael, we're sorry. We're going to continue to keep an eye on your Boilermakers, but we're going to do a Clemson watch party. If you're here on the main channel, stay right here. We're going to add the Clemson channel, and we will be right here in a couple minutes. Lock it in. Be here right on the main channel or on the Clemson channel from 1 to 3. We're going to take in the Clemson game together right here at the Voice of College Football. See you in 1 minute.